quickly of how our kids are impacted. This elementary school, Christ the King Elementary School in Tarrytown, Louisiana, where they made a decision that this young girl who came to school in braids, she somehow couldn't come to school because her hair violated the school's policy. Now, of course, they really couldn't establish where that was even written. They have since rescinded that policy, but it still has had a tremendous impact on this young girl. First of all, two students, Faith Kennedy and Tyrell Davis, both of them were kicked out of school. Joining us right now, first of all, so let's play the video of that. You will see, so this is actually what happened on the day they actually showed up for school. And you will see what their hair looks like, not really a big deal. And this is the girl's hair. This is her hair. Tyrell had braids.
What's wrong with her hair?
Nothing wrong with her hair.
Her hair is
It's a
fine.
black.
Come on.
She has like several hairs.
I understand, you know. I understand.
I'll break whatever.
I want my money.
That hair somehow violated his school policy. Joining us right now is Faith's mother, Montrell Affinity, also Tyrell's mother, Tonyanita Parquette, and their attorney, James Williams. First of all, glad to have both of you here. To both of the mothers, I mean, how ridiculous is this for them to say that this violated the school policy? There was nothing wrong with their hair. Did you ever get any kind of notice where even pictures saying this is okay, this is good hair, this is bad hair?
No, absolutely not. Faith and I went to a meet and greet the day before school started, and we went to meet her teachers and the faculty, and the school staff was there, and she had her hair done, how she was going to wear it to school, and no administrator, nobody said anything to us. The next day at school, they sent her home with a note saying she could not return because her hair did not meet the new policy that was implemented over the summer about her braids. And she had been at the school 2 years wearing her braids. Her 5th grade ID picture is in cornrows that she wore the whole 5th grade school year.
And so, again, you have a child who's standing there crying, and she's trying to learn. And did you look at the other kids, other white kids in the school, and go, well, what's wrong with that hair or that hair? I mean, is this, in essence, a white standard of what they consider to be beauty when it comes to schools?
Yes, that's what I was trying to understand from the administrators, because Faith told me on her very first day, the teacher asked her, is that your real hair? Do you have fake hair in your hair? And in front of all her peers, she was, humiliated and devastated. And she was, she came on very upset and crying to me. And I could not understand, why would they implement a policy over the summer, not talk to the African-American parents there to be proactive, to understand, what it is for us to do a protective style on our children's hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
Well, the same thing as Faith. She was there 2 years prior, and all the other kids get to wear their hair how they want. And she didn't have braids, but she had her hair just extended. It was just like shoulder length, and she just looked like the other kids. She didn't have any colors in her hair or, nothing that I would feel as a parent out of place.
James, I want to go to you. First of all, is there any legal recourse against the school? Have they changed the policy? Did they apologize to the parents and to the children as well? What's next legally?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. And first of all, kudos to these families for standing up for what's right. Because of the fight they fought, we've already won a significant legal victory. We filed a lawsuit on behalf of these two families, and as a result, we had a judge in New Orleans issue a temporary restraining order preventing the school from enforcing this policy. You said earlier that the policy was rescinded. It was only rescinded after we got a temporary restraining order in court that prevented them from enforcing it. So we've already won a very significant legal battle with the judge striking down this policy through the temporary restraining order and ultimately pulled it. The next phase of this is to make sure that this doesn't happen to any other children. As Faith's mom and Tariel's mom said, there is absolutely nothing wrong with these hairstyles other than being a value judgment on Black culture, and that's unacceptable. My mother has braids, my daughters have braids, my wife has braids. There's nothing wrong with that, and it's culturally appropriate. And I'm just applaud the courage of these families to keep fighting. We've already gotten this policy stricken down, and we're not going to stop until this doesn't happen to any other.
All right, then. Well, I certainly appreciate all of you joining us. Thank you so very much, and certainly give our regards to your children as well. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having us.
All right, then. Real quick to our panel here. I mean, this is the kind of nonsense that we see consistently, and this is where Black kids are being targeted. Here you have kids trying to go to school, trying to learn, and this was a Christian school using these arbitrary rules where that's okay and this hair is not.
Yeah, so I'll take this one, fellas, if you don't mind. As a Black woman with hair, I mean, our entire lives, we are taught that white is right. From imagery that we see on television. And Roland,
Black men too?
I completely. And Roland, I was going to say, you know, you and I both worked in TV a long time. There are people who always say you can't wear your hair this way if you want to be on air, which none of the, I mean, we have to start changing the rules. And I think this is, of course, obviously an attack on our culture, but the disheartening part, this happened to be perpetuated by white people. But the thing is, it has penetrated our community, and we are the hardest on each other. You remember when Gabby Douglas won the Olympics, and everybody, this huge accomplishment, all we could talk about was her hair. You remember when Will and Jada let Willow cut her hair off. All we could talk about was her hair because it is our crown and glory.
But here's the piece, though. What happened with when Gabby won, it was a Black folks who also talking about hair.
That's my point.
And the problem, and that's one of the, but see, here's where I think that where that's also a deal, where I think you have some of us who not only buy into somebody else's notion, but it's also the respectability game in terms of, oh my goodness, they're seeing us. First of all, she's competing.
Yeah,
okay?
Exactly.
The last thing you worried about is how your hair looks.
Yeah.
You're trying to win a gold medal.
Exactly.
And you're not trying to have your stuff perfect. Yeah. And that's sort of, again, where we have to break that chain of white supremacy that is so deeply embedded in our DNA, where even when we talk about when we go on television in terms of, okay, well, no, I can't wear that because that's too ethnic. Or, you know, how that looks. I mean, we literally have been trained and conditioned that white standards, white values, that's what's acceptable. Don't you dare bring any ethnicity into this.
And you know, we've been part of it. The larger system and culture has been part of it. I really commend these parents for being unapologetic and standing up and pushing back, getting things on video, being unafraid to push back. But the policing of Black people from cradle to grave, of institutions trying to not just you know, the written rules of policy, but the unwritten rules of culture, these decisions to punish these children in school for showing up, you know, as they are. You know, these are the reasons why it's important that we have shows like yours, because otherwise we don't get these stories that sort of penetrate. But for other parents around the country, we know that this is not just happening at that Louisiana school.
Right.
We get these stories all the time. We get the stories of, you know, young Black Muslim girls being told they can't wear their hijabs and play sports. And we've had to run campaigns and organize and push back. We've had to organize and mobilize our base around issues around braids multiple times in many schools around this country. And we will continue to see this over and over until we have a collective community standard that we will not accept this, and there will be accountability when it happens.
You know, Eugene, I think one of the things that that was happening, first of all, in 25 years from now, America will be majority people of color. Yep. And so what is happening right before our very eyes, again, the standards and the values are changing.
Yeah, you're right.
For the entire history of America, it's been whatever white folks wanted, white folks got. Now, white folks in America are having to now deal with, it's not just you, boo, that you're going to have to now accept the fact that African Americans, Latinos, Asians, Native Americans, different cultures, that your view, the American way, your view is not going to be the dominant view. You got to make some space. And what's really happening here, white folks are uncomfortable no longer being completely in control.
You're 100% correct. I actually went to a small private, 100% black-owned, operated private Christian school growing up. So I do have some experience when it comes to moderate hairstyles, but those are for mostly the men rather than the young ladies. Anyone that's have clean cuts rather than dreads or braids or anything. But the young ladies are pretty free to do what they wanted, because hey, it's black culture. But Roland, you're 100% correct. I mean, if I could reference the situation going on in Missouri, I believe, where about 100, 150 black folk were denied jobs because their names were too, quote unquote, ethnic or too ghetto.
Same thing.
I mean, it's the exact same thing. It's a clapback. And you say all the time that black success, followed by white rage.
Absolutely.